What's up, guys? Carmine here, and I'm joined today by my homies Phil Nye, the Issues Guy, and Preston Jacobs, and we're talking most of things Comic-Con related, and we're starting off with The Witcher. Now, I'm sure both of you guys would agree with me that ever since Thrones ended, everybody and their mothers is looking for the next Game of Thrones. Like, this is the thing that everybody's looking forward to. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're looking for the next Game of Thrones, The Witcher is not going to be it, and I'll tell you why. I love The Witcher. I love it slightly better than Thrones. I've always wanted to get Preston into it, but I know how addictive... Yet Preston has an addictive personality, and I fear if I get Preston into The Witcher or even Skyrim, that he's going to lose his job and his wife will leave him, because that's all he'll fucking play. I know you, dude. I know you.
No, that's quite likely.
That's quite likely. So, the reason I'm kind of... As much as I love The Witcher, the reason I'm a little worried is because it's on Netflix. Now... Say what you will about Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones has always had a formula, you know? The first three episodes, episode 2, 1, 2, and 3, set up the story for the season. 4, 5, and 6 set up our conflicts. 7 and 8 brought those conflicts ahead. 9 was like the insane episode with a twist, and the season finale would usually set up the next season with its own twists as well. I feel like a lot of Netflix shows, and you guys can back me up on this, I feel like Netflix... A lot of those shows don't have to have a certain format or a certain pace. Because with HBO shows, they have to keep you invested and interested every episode so you can come back next week. Because there have been plenty of shows that fucking sucked, and I never had the drive to come back next week and watch them. With Netflix, on the other hand... Iron Fist was an absolutely awful show, and had this been on HBO or any other network where I'd have to come back every week, I would have just said fuck it and never watched it again. But with Netflix, there's like this weird pull about binge watching where I kept watching every episode in Iron Fist to see if it got better, and it never got better. But this is like a weird thing. Like, this is why I'm so worried about like any like major property going to Netflix, because they're just, I feel like they're cocky. You know, they almost, like, dare you not to keep watching. Because they know it's not going to happen. You're going to keep watching no matter what.
It is really odd that the different channels, despite having, you know, different directors and different producers and different actors, that you can get this, like, similarity between HBO programming and Netflix programming, you know? Like, don't all, like, HBO programs, they seem to have, you know, a good deal of, like, nudity, a good deal of violence, but at the same time, they're paced incredibly well. You don't feel there are wasted episodes. With Netflix, you feel like they're filling out. Like
yes, the Netflix bloat is an actual term.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Netflix bloat. Watch Jessica Jones season 2. You'll know what I mean.
Half that season is that bloat, and that's the disappointment of that binge watching style when they put out a whole bunch of shows, because inevitably the first episode has to be good and then the last episode has to be good to keep you coming back to the next season. There's a lot of crap in between. And Preston, you're right. All those HBO shows, whether they ended good or not, and there's a bunch of them, we don't have to name them all. You can go through the HBO list and everyone's almost good in its own way. Have that great pacing. 6 Feet Under's great pacing. The Wire, great pacing for the show it's trying to tell. And the Netflix series, and it's not just Netflix, I'll say it about Amazon too, any of the ones that put out the shows all at once. It's difficult because I can only think of 1 or 2 shows that didn't have that problem. Daredevil season 1 and Ozarks. Ozarks, for whatever it's worth, is just as good as an HBO show, but those are few and far between. Most of them do feel that bloat.
Yeah, and you know, with other programming, you kind of understand it when it's like Walking Dead and they have to fill freaking 20-some episodes a season, and so you're like, okay, this is really bloated. But Netflix shows are usually, you know, 10, 13 episodes. So I just don't, which is what an HBO show usually is, usually 10 episodes. And so it's odd that there's that bloat, you know, like why, you know.
When did miniseries become a bad thing? For some reason, when there used to be serialized programming before, back in the days in the 80s and stuff, when everything was 1 episode and you're done. There was serialized programming, but they were these miniseries, like V at the time was a miniseries that was just on for 3 nights a week for 2 weeks or whatever. I forget what it was, but it was something like that. And these Netflix series are great. Some of them are really great ideas, but they're smaller ideas that should only be 3 or 4 episodes if that's where the story tells it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, the main thing is, and this is something with YouTube as well, this ties into YouTube, YouTube rewards people who have videos over 10 minutes and uploads regularly. If you don't, YouTube will start to shave away at your subscribers And not only that, but YouTube will start to recommend your channel less if you don't dish out videos on a regular basis. If you dish out a video on Monday, you better dish it out fucking Wednesday or Thursday. Otherwise, you're going to lose that recommendation on the side panel. And they love videos over 10 minutes. They recommend those more. Because they want you on the service. That's how they get their money. They want you using the fucking service. Another thing, one of the other things I'm a little concerned about with regards to Witcher on Netflix, once again, I love this. I was watching Angry Joe's reaction to the Star Trek Picard, and he's super attached to the whole Next Generation thing, and he's like, don't fuck it up. Same with me on with Netflix with Witcher. Don't fuck it up. But you know for a fact they're kind of gonna. Mainly because Netflix has tried to challenge Thrones in regards to the whole budget thing. HBO threw a lot of money on Thrones. Netflix tried doing this years ago with Marco Polo. They spent over $100 million on, I think, both seasons or just one season of Marco Polo, and they did not get a good return on that. Not a lot of people watched it.
What about
or
the,
enjoyed it.
what was the one, The Crown? Is that the one that they also just dumped a whole bunch of money into? The one
I have
with,
no idea.
The one with Doctor Who, the guy that was Doctor Who. Is that
I
The
have no
Crown?
idea. I have no idea, but what I do know is that when The Witcher does come out on Netflix in a few months, a good chunk of our viewers overseas might not be able to check it out, which is why I gotta give a big shout out to our sponsor, Surfshark VPN. In today's world, browsing the internet has become a lot more risky, and every day we just risk losing our information to hackers and shady websites. But Surfshark VPN has got you covered. They've got a bunch of servers worldwide to help you stay anonymous every time you're online and keep your data safe with a variety of security options. And for my overseas viewers, Surfshark VPN can help you watch streaming services you wouldn't normally have access to in your country, such as Netflix and even Hulu. And now that Thrones is over, I'll be going over and recommending quite a few of those shows on those platforms, so be prepared for that. And to help you get started, Surfshark VPN is offering to give you guys 84% off your purchase plus 1 month free as a bonus. And to get started, head on over to surfshark.com and use code RTR, or click the link in the description below and protect your privacy today.
But Carmine, you started off by saying this, and I think the real point here is I hate when people tell you it's going to be the next something. That never fucking works out. It never freaking works out. It never works. Like every time someone's like, oh, it's the next thing. It's the next thing. This is fresh on my mind because I just watched Stranger Things. It's like with New Coke. It's going to be the next thing. You're going to like this. And no one likes it when you say that.
No, it's like anywhere when you travel, they say the Paris of wherever, and it's never Paris.
You never.
And this is what I've been trying to tell Preston for a while now. I know for a fact that he would like the series. It's, rooted in a lot of stuff that he likes. There's the feminist aspect there, with the sorceresses being very independent. There's that political intrigue there, monster slaying. Like, I know you like that stuff, but there has been some controversy with The Witcher. I should go into it for a little bit. Essentially, there was a central, integral character to the series. Her name is Ciri. And in the books, of course, she is very white, like pale, ghostly pale, actually, with ashen hair. And the showrunner wanted to replace this character with a BAME, someone who is, according to what this says, BAME essentially means black and minority ethnic. And there was huge controversy about that because a lot of people were saying, like, the showrunners being very, quote-unquote, liberal with the casting instead of just, having a faithful adaptation. She's trying to put, like, political undertones here by replacing certain things and, quote-unquote, Americanizing the story when it's a Polish story. Poland is religiously and ethnically homogenous, whereas, they write their stories in as such. And then you come over to the United States, it's a vastly different landscape, and some people have an issue with that.
First off, like, I don't think it's political. Like, you say, oh, they're putting in these liberal tones. No, they're looking for money. Okay, black people like to watch black people on TV. White people like to watch white people on TV. Asian people like to watch Asian people on TV. That's just the nature of things. And so when they throw in a character, it's not for liberal reasons or conservative reasons. It's for money reasons. These organizations are not liberal or conservative. They're corporate. They care about money, and they're going to do what they think is profitable. If it were profitable just to put white people on screen, that's what they'd do. But they're trying to make money. And so that's what they're doing. By throwing...
Well, to be fair to what I said and to counter what you're saying, the showrunner, Lauren Hisrich, she literally said on Twitter, am I going to change people's ethnicities from the books and the show just because I'm feeling liberal that day? No, I'm not going to do that.
But
And then she did just that.
They don't have control over. They don't have the micromanaging kind of stuff over that. People
Yes, she does. No. She does. She was in charge of hiring the cast.
What, the head of Netflix?
No. The showrunner. Like Netflix gives showrunners incredible like freedom, which is why people love doing shit on Netflix. But I'm talking about the showrunner. She said, I'm not gonna change anybody's ethnicity because I'm feeling very liberal that day. But then she goes and does just that. And she had humongous control over casting. Say what you will about Dave and Dan. I think they were all agreed on like very few people for Game of Thrones. I think it was Sean Bean for Ned and Peter Dinklage for Tyrion. But then the casting director, she came in. I think it's the same casting director for Force Awakens. She came in and she got the best people possible. So the showrunners for Thrones were not as involved in the casting as much as she is with The Witcher. And I don't know, it just seems very weird that she has that much control.
This always frustrates me. The everybody thinks that everything is getting controlled by some sort of boogeyman from some sort of political persuasion. It's just not. It's really stuff is done for money reasons and things like that. I mean, maybe some random situation where the showrunner might want a couple people here and there, but these I just don't believe these huge conspiracies. I think it's just I don't know. All these YouTube videos that I see constantly that are damn those SJWs with their goddamn Captain Marvel. People are just trying to make money.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. Even those YouTubers as well. Nobody gives a fuck about Captain Marvel.
Here's a reverse situation. Okay, one thing that I always got a kick out of when I they've been breaking away from this now, but in the 80s and 90s, when you see a couple on TV, it's always a black guy married to a black woman, or a white guy married to a white woman, or an Asian person married to an Asian person. They would have interracial friendships. But it was really weird that you wouldn't see interracial relationships on TV very much in the 80s and 90s. And now when I see a show like Jane the Virgin, which goes out of their way, it seems almost to have every single relationship be interracial. I notice it and I get a kick out of it. And it's just something I'm also aware of because, I'm married to somebody that's not my race. But when I see that on TV, I remember this Chili's commercial or something where a white woman, a black woman, and an Asian woman are actually eating, and then this hot white waiter and a hot black waiter and a hot Asian waiter come up, and the three women stop and drool over these three men as if it would be inconceivable that they could drool over somebody of a different race. Now, when I looked at that, I wasn't sitting there going, God damn conservatives, and their anti, race mixing agenda. I wasn't sitting there freaking out about it. And it's every goddamn time they cast a black person in a role made for a white person, somebody has to fucking sound the alarm and dog whistle and make this huge deal. Just who cares? Who fucking cares?
I'll tell you why people care. It's not, and I don't think it's because of a racist reason. Well, my reasoning is I just want a faithful adaptation. If there's a character in Game of Thrones or in The Witcher, and the character has, by design, a fucking cock sticking out of their forehead, put that in the show. I don't give a fuck. If Ned Stark has 3 nipples, I want you to put a 3rd prosthetic nipple on Sean Bean. I don't give a fuck. I just want a faithful adaptation. And I think they're just going out of their way not to do that.
Then why wasn't I hearing shit about how Sean Bean was far too old to play Ned Stark? He was far too old.
I think there's a difference between age and racial makeup. I really think there's a difference.
Well, I mean, it made a big deal when Catelyn is no longer of birthing age, and her ability to have another child is a huge deal. Same with Cersei, because you're talking about remarriage and whether in political.
Well, to be fair, they had to age up everybody in Thrones because, correct me if I'm wrong, in the first book isn't Daenerys 14, 15?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, she would have to be 18 in the show, so they had to age everybody up. Because I remember, isn't Catelyn in the books isn't she around in her mid 30s to late 30s?
Yeah, both Catalan and Ned are about 35.
Yeah, of course. Because when Robert's Rebellion starts, they're like older teenagers, and then that's 20 years after the fact when when the books begin. So they're like, yeah. So no, that's just my take on it. So and I feel bad for Europeans because they're not as diverse as the United States is, and this is their property, and now they have to see it be Americanized. I remember there's this video game called Metro. It's by a Russian guy, the Russian book series, about subways in Russia, and they wanted to make an American version of it, a movie, and the guy said no because he knew they were going to Americanize it. It's going to take place in D.C. and it's going to just be completely different. And his reasoning for it was Russian stories and U.S. stories are vastly different. In U.S. stories, American stories have a happy ending. Russian stories apparently don't. Russian stories are all about surviving just for the sake of it, just to spite whoever else, just to raise a glass and say, fuck you world, I survived. And I kind of get it. I just feel a little bad for the Polish people who have to see their property being a little Americanized when they probably didn't want it to be.
Well, with Picard, they had an Englishman play a Frenchman, and Next Generation just all fell apart.
Right. And before we do wrap up the Witcher conversation and go on to the next one, I just want to say I really don't care if they change a certain character's ethnicity. For once I just want a faithful adaptation from book to show. And even in this thing, besides character changes, it seems like they're gonna go in a different direction than what's on paper, which kind of annoys me. And at this point, you should just call it a reimagining instead of a faithful adaptation. But I also just feel bad for mostly Polish people because this is their baby, this is their property, and to see it Americanized must really irk them. But guys, if you are interested in checking out The Witcher when it does come out, which I highly recommend, we will be covering it, then definitely check out Surfshark VPN. It will help you get access to The Witcher on Netflix if you don't have it in your country. I highly recommend it. But yeah, stay tuned for the next video where we talk about some more Comic-Con stuff.